Roofman is directed by Derek Cianfrance and stars Channing Tatum, Kirsten Dunst, Peter Dinklage, Lakeith Stanfield, amongst a plethora of other actors. And this is a movie that I actually watched last month at TIFF. And I was waiting to talk about it a little bit because I was like, wait, it's right around the corner almost, so maybe I'll just, talk about it when that happens. And that time is now, so without further ado, let's get into it. This is based on the true story of Jeffrey Manchester, played by Tatum, who is an army veteran who eventually begins robbing McDonald's because he wants to make some more money for his family, particularly his daughter. He makes these robberies happen by entering through the roof, hence the name. However, he gets caught, but he manages to escape prison and eventually hides out at a Toys R Us. And while he's at this Toys R Us, we see the rest of his story take place, and you get to see how he might have a potential second lease at life after all of this. Now, the trailers for Roofman are very interesting because it sells it as a bit of a comedy caper, one that, has someone who is just, a thief becoming a bit of an escape artist and trying to, evade authorities as long as he can while, trying to figure out what to do next. And that is some of Roofman. Yes, absolutely. But what it really is a character piece, and a rather dramatic one at that too, about someone who was just trying to do something, for people that he loves, but just not going about it in the best way. And something about Jeff's character is that he is someone who is incredibly complex, in that you kind of see where he's coming from, but at the same time, you're also not exactly agreeing with the methods that he's going about it. And yet in those moments when he is with others and you can see that humanity sort of peek through, like he wants to do the right thing, I think it also leads to some poignant moments where it's like you kind of want him to see this through. It's a very interestingly told story, and I think Channing Tatum is excellent in the role. I think that when I look back on his career and I see some of the roles that he's done in the past, this is one of his best by far. In fact, arguably might be the best of his career over here, because he gets to tap into these very, gray, morally gray areas in some ways, and how he portrays, Jeff's character, the someone who is, just trying to, figure out, how he can be better. I think he did that in a really, really effective way. And I thought Kirsten Dunst as Lee, who is, again, one of the employees at Toys R Us, I thought she did a really, really great job too. And I thought the moments between Lee and Jeff, the relationship that they eventually have, were really heartfelt. I think they did a wonderful job with that, and how it just, again, explored how, the two of them have met at a moment in time where they do kind of need each other, where it feels like they both are trying to find something, and eventually that, this chance meeting seems to have, taken them to that next step. And I like that some of the aspects surrounding Jeff being the character that he is are also something that you see in other situations. Like, for example, when he's at the Toys R Us, he's got his own security stuff, and he's looking around at everything happening. And every now and then you'll see that the boss who's running the place, Peter Dinklage's character, he's not the best guy. And he would often, try and look out for some of the other employees every now and then, just be like, hey, maybe you could do something about this. But because he's putting on a front especially when he's talking to Lee, like, he's able to kind of maneuver those situations to be like, maybe do something for this person that could help. And I like the way that the movie goes about that as well, again, adding to the complexity of it all. And I think the way that Cianfrance directs it is also really effective, really just giving you this great character study over here, but also keeping it very tense and also, on its toes, because you never know, again, when Jeffrey might get caught, or when he might make a mistake that, notifies someone like, oh, wait, I know who that is. Go get him. So just to see him, try to get through as much as he can, before the clock, potentially runs out on him, was also very, very interesting. It's also really well shot, something that I wanted to mention. The cinematography is really, really good. There's a few moments which look fantastic. Like, there's some really great sequences, particularly some of a couple of the heist sequences really well executed, and there's a nice soundtrack to it too. I thought they did a really good job there. The supporting characters, some of the other ones are also really good too. I thought Lakeith Stanfield, who plays his friend who he was friends with in the army, I thought he was really good over here. In fact, there's some really funny moments with him, and he had a few great one-liners that had me cackling quite a bit. I thought Juno Temple was also really good, and Peter Dinklage also did a really good job. I think everybody is solid in the movie. I do think that you don't get as much time with some of the supporting characters. Like at one point, you meet a character played by Ben Mendelsohn who is like handling this a church. And I was like, oh, okay. So him and his wife are handling the church, and I would have liked a little more time with maybe some more of those aspects, and again just seeing how a lot of that plays out. But some of the dynamics that eventually Jeff is a part of because of his relationship with Lee, like connecting with her daughters, for example, I thought that again very effectively handled. But some stuff on the side when it comes to developing his character, like especially with his actual daughter, like some of the moments where he knows other people, and just seeing some of those other aspects leading into what he is doing right now, do feel a little underdeveloped at times. I would have liked to see a little bit more of that. And I think that there were some moments where it could have really dived a little bit deeper. I think that the movie, being paced the way it is because it's, going at a bit of a brisk pace in some moments, does affect a little bit of that. I do think that it does, despite that brisk pace that I mentioned, I do think that it drags a little bit in the middle portion of the movie. And I think it's like a few minutes longer as a result of that, and I wish a little more time went to some other aspects. I still think that Roofman is a really solid movie, and one that I really enjoyed watching and really surprised me, actually. I think it's a movie that, as I've already talked about extensively in this video so far, it is much more of a dramatic character piece, and I think they did a really good job with that character piece. And I'm curious to hear what other people think about it when it does come out in theaters starting this weekend, because I feel like there's something very interesting over here beyond it just being a fun comedy at times, which again, it absolutely nails those moments. But yeah, there's some other stuff over here too that is worth seeing. I'm gonna give Roofman an 8 out of 10. Guys, thank you very much as always for watching. Look forward to more videos very, very soon. I still have a lot of reviews that I want to get through, so I'm going to start doing those a little more quickly. As always, if you like this, please do subscribe, and I'll see you guys at the movies. There we go.